Yeah.
Let me dive in.
Okay.
Read along, folks, if you like. It is expected that this theory will be useful in understanding and in programming not only one's self, but other minds as well. Enhancement of the very human depth of communication with other minds may be approached. What is he trying to say here, John?
Well, old John Lilly there, he was a wordsmith, he was. And he would take words and wrap them around so you had to think about them just the way he wanted you to because of how he wrapped them around. And so if you take this apart and you iron it out and you look at it very carefully, what he's trying to say is he's saying, look, if you understood your programming and how your programming worked, not the other guys, how your programming worked, you'd understand then how it is that you yourself were able to communicate and what you could do about communication. And how you would communicate and what kind of shenanigans you went through to communicate and all those kinds of goodies, right? And so what he's talking about here is he's saying, if you can do that, if you can see what your programming is, then you're probably going to communicate way better simply because your programming is the biggest hassle that you have when it comes to saying something to somebody else. Let me give you a for instance. I've known a few girls in my life that just, they had to fight in order to hold their own. And I'm not saying that they were bad girls because they fought. I'm saying that they absolutely had to hold their own. And they, as a consequence, they kind of had this I'm going to fight with the entire world attitude.
Yeah.
It didn't work really well for them, but they didn't have it. To them, they didn't have a choice. But they didn't see that choice as a programmed choice. They saw that choice as a conscious choice, and it wasn't really, because that argument was always a reaction or an impulsive reaction at that. Okay, we could say it that way. Okay. Now, I've seen guys that absolutely jump up and down and yell and scream because you get close to something feminine and that they're going to have to think about in particular. I've seen guys that yell and scream because you get close to saying something that their old ladies always say, like tell the truth. Or why in the hell is it that you can't just sit your ass down here and talk to me like a grown person? I mean, those are a couple of examples that I've run into within the last week of grown men in their 40s and 50s reacting like they were 3 years old because of those kinds of questions. Now, the guys aren't bad, it's that they're sore. Okay, because they can't see the program, so they can't figure out how to solve this problem they keep running into, and they're sore where they keep hitting that wall, where they keep running their nose right into that thing.
Right. Okay. So it's a very quick, impulsive reaction when it happens.
But it hurts them, see, and so when you ask them about it subsequently, they say, "I don't want to talk about that." I don't blame them. I wouldn't want to talk about that if I were them either. But right. The only way, like the man says, the only way out of the trap is through the trap, right? And so, unfortunately, if you're not going to keep on running into that wall, you're going to have to stop and say, okay, why do I hurt? No matter if you want to look at it or not, you still got to do it. It's the only way out of the trap. So what Lily's talking about here, right from the get-go, is he said, okay, boys and girls, look, pay attention here. You're going to deal with programming, then you're going to deal with programming. You're going to have to pay attention to this here, because otherwise we're not going to be talking to each other really. We're going to be sounding like a bunch of Republicans about talking about an election that happened a year ago. That's what we're going to sound like, because that's what we are.
So I mean, at the beginning of this entire class that we're gonna be talking about here, and this is the first session of 10. He's laying out the foundation in the same way that as he's introducing it, it's all like this is a critical element here to pick up on any of what he's laying down.
Yeah, what we call it in business is a critical factor. It's something that you have to understand before. In business, the critical factor is anything at all you have to do before you can do anything else. It's a critical factor, therefore, because it has to be done before you get to anything else. You run into them all the time in a business, right? You got to put
Absolutely.
gas in the car before you can go call those clients. Sorry, you got to pay the light so you can come in the morning and open the door and turn on the computers. Those are
Yeah.
critical factors, okay,
Yeah. Yeah.
as examples, right? Okay, so this is a critical factor from the standpoint that you have to understand that you're going to pay attention to programming one way or the other. You're going to pay attention to it from proactively addressing it, or you're going to pay attention to what it does to bite you in the behind. It's the same thing both ways.
Right, because the whole point here is you can't see any of this stuff while it's running. You just
No, you
can't
can't.
see it.
No, I can't see. I can't see anything I'm looking with, and usually when a program's running, I'm not usually. If a program's running, I'm looking with it. And I can't
Right.
see it. Everybody around me can, and that's the problem is everybody else can see this thing and they'll say, "Why do you do that?" And the person who's doing it say, "What the am I doing?"
You
Because
know,
they
that's actually a really instructive concept right there. And it's not, you're not overstating it when you say that everybody else can see
yeah
it. It's one of, in fact, for me personally, I think one of those moments where, you would bring that up, and then, everyone around me, like even people that weren't involved in the class, were like, well, yeah. I was like, really? I never knew that. How did I miss it?
I have certain things I do today, even still today, to tell you the truth, I have no idea why people get upset with it. I really don't. I really can't because by the time they're upset with it I'm 2 miles and a quarter from where it was that they started to get upset, and people always
Um,
know about their programming, and I go charging on down it, and oh, then later they say, "Oh, you're a rude son of a bitch. You're too intense. You talk about crazy shit that I don't understand." And
where'd
I
you
was,
get that from?
I don't like crying on a grown man.
I've seen that.
Well, I'm telling you, they're not being bad guys. They're not being bad peoples. What's happening is that they're sore right there. They've run into that program too damn many times,
Yeah.
and it hurts them. It does. You wish that you could help them, but unless they stop, sit their butts down, and say, "Okay, I'm running into this all the time."
But see,
Unless
that's important right there, John, because there's nothing that you or I can do for anyone except
no,
introduce them to these ideas, right, and try and build some word bridges so they can understand what the hell's happening here.
yeah, it's not try and do it. I mean, from my I don't know. From my perspective, I have to address it from the standpoint that I absolutely must build that bridge.
Okay, I like that.
Okay, because I'm what they got. Okay,
Right.
fuck, Paul. I don't know how many times I found myself in that position with somebody that I just really didn't care for. You know, no kidding. I just didn't like him. I saw
Right.
as if you'd asked me to put up with him or invite him over to my house, I would never have done it, right? But because they come straggling their butts in here, I don't have any choice except to sit down with them and say, okay, look, you're going to have to pay attention to this program.
Mhm.
I don't want to. I understand that, but you either pay attention to this program or you're going to get a divorce. Which one are you going to get? Well, she's a bitch. So, yes, she is.
Okay.
It's not going to solve the problem, really, is it? And it's like it's difficult for people to see where they run into this thing over and over and over. And this class, this information, this data that you've got lined up here, Paul, it makes people run into stuff all over the place because it's all about stuff that we run into.
Right. That's it. That's exactly it. It's
Yeah.
just, and it's completely individualized, right? I mean, we
What
can
running
teach
into
this.
stuff? Oh, absolutely. I can talk through an hour of this stuff and get 19 different reactions from 27 different people about 34 different issues. Okay,
Right, right.
and none of them realize what they're into this thing, and they're arguing about it before they know what it is they're arguing about really, or why they what they're defending. Let's say, but it's
Right.
about a program, and that's a program that hurts them.
Where does the need to defend what's not working so well come from? What's going on there?
Yeah, okay, look, I don't think it's that they're defending what's not working so well. I think they're defending themselves from the pain.
And even talking about it is pain.
Yeah, it is. Okay, let me give you an example from my friend Nacho here. Okay, Nacho's caught between the devil and the deep blue sea. Okay, I mean he really is caught bad. He's working with some money guys from a sports team that are not necessarily from here in Puerto Vallarta, but yet they've hired people to come from sports coaches, big time, real the real deal sports coaches who are staying at my house, but they're not paying me any rent because the money guys didn't plan on getting those international checks cashed for big amounts of money, and the government's saying, where'd this money come from? Because this is more than what we can
Right.
accept. You know, you sure this wasn't narco money that you're trying to clean up here?
Right.
And so the sports guys are having trouble getting the money cashed because the government is doing their due diligence, like it says right there in the small print. It actually says they're going to do this, and they're doing it. But Nacho comes and he says, "Okay, I'm going to have money for you on Tuesday." I mean, on Stagatti sounds like Blimpie, you know. I mean, give me a hamburger today on Tuesday, you know. And then Tuesday comes, you say, okay, do you have the money? And he said, oh no, Thursday. And so you say, oh, hey, what happened to the money Thursday? And he'll say, oh, didn't I tell you the bank won't let them do that until Monday? Which Monday are we talking about now? You know, is this the Monday you want a hamburger on, so you can pay me Tuesday, or this a different Monday?
Yeah.
You know, and it's like he is caught between the devil and the deep blue sea. He lies as a matter of course because that's what he does. But at the same time, he's caught because he'd like to tell the truth about this one because it hurts so much, but he can't because he can't go to the money guys and say, what in the fuck are you people doing? He just can't resolve the issue because he's afraid of the money people because they might be a daddy. And he doesn't want to get beat up by any other daddies that he knows because those daddies who said, hey, are you lying to me, boy? And that, you know, that's exactly how it feels to him. And
Wow.
so, you know, he's scared to go talk with Moneybags daddy. He's afraid to come talk with the pay me daddies. And so he's caught between the devil and the deep blue sea, and it ain't none of it his fault. But he lies to everybody involved. He lies to Moneybag dad
On all sides.
everything's fine, and to the people that are saying, "Where the fuck's my money?" Say, "Hey, look, Moneybags can be trusted. I'm not gonna tell you who he is. I'm gonna tell you what's going on, but you're gonna have to trust me. I'm working."